Have you ever thought, what if we could just reboot society? Start over. Well, today we're diving into a pretty wild idea from our source material. It's a detailed 50-year strategy designed to completely delete an ancient social system and basically upgrade our future. Let's break down how this whole thing is supposed to work.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the problem as the source sees it, these two invisible traps. Then we'll get into the solution, an upgraded faith. After that, we'll walk through the actual 50-year roadmap. And finally, we'll bring it all home and see what the plan suggests you can do, starting, well, today.
So, to really get this, the source asks us to imagine our society as a kind of game. One with these ancient, outdated rules that we're all still playing by. And the whole argument here is that this game is rigged. It's full of hidden traps that are holding us back, not just in our minds, but in our bodies too. Okay, so what are these hidden traps? The plan zeroes in on two fundamental problems that it claims keep the whole system locked in place. It calls them the two invisible traps. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The plan splits the problem in two. On one side, you have the spiritual trap. This is all about the mind, an idea that creates a false hierarchy between people. And on the other side, you've got the biological trap. This one's about the body, creating what the source calls a restricted DNA loop.
The spiritual trap kicks in with this simple ritual. In many traditions, when you pray, you state your gotra, which is your ancestor's name. But the source here argues this is way more than just a tradition. It's like a login prompt. Every time you say it, you're reinforcing the idea that you need a middleman, a kind of messenger, just to talk to the divine.
And you can see the damage right away, can't you? That simple act of logging in reinforces a very specific tribe identity, not a universal human one. It builds up this whole structure where some people supposedly have special access to God, and that creates a deep spiritual hierarchy, a sense of being higher or lesser than others.
Okay, so that's the mind. Let's switch over to the second trap, the biological one. The source has this great name for it, the genetic sandwich. The rule is pretty simple. You can't marry inside your gotra, because that's, too close, you're too related. But, and this is the key, you have to marry inside your larger caste, which stops you from mixing with people considered too far.
So what's the big deal? Well, the source argues that the long-term effect of this sandwich is huge. When you trap DNA inside a small group for literally thousands of years, you get a buildup of harmful recessive genes. This can lead to group-specific diseases and even weaker immune systems. And the plan claims that ideas like caste pride or pure blood were basically marketing, a way to hide this very real biological damage. So you're facing these two massive traps, one for the mind, one for the body. What do? Well, the plan's solution is absolute. It is built on one single powerful command for this social reboot. Leave nothing. Don't just tweak the old system. Don't try to reform it. The idea is to delete the old code entirely.
But leaving nothing behind doesn't mean becoming empty. This isn't about destroying spirituality. The plan argues for an evolution, not an elimination. It calls this next part the upgrade, which is all about a new, way more personal approach to faith. So, what does this upgraded faith actually look like? Well, instead of waiting for a goddess with 1,000 hands to show up and perform a miracle, the source says to find the miracle in the selfless love of a mother. Instead of trying to find scientific proof for ancient figures, find personal inspiration in the qualities they represent, like duty or loyalty. It's a shift in perspective.
And this is the absolute core of the upgrade. It's about moving from a system that's external and has gatekeepers to one that's internal and direct. The plan suggests a faith where your connection to the divine is a private conversation. No priests, no rituals, no one standing in the middle.
So this leads to a huge shift in how you practice your faith. Instead of waiting for a miracle, your own good actions become the miracle. Instead of just praying, you try to live the qualities you admire in those divine stories. You make your own life a blessing. And in this new model, all those external things like rituals and messengers, they just become unnecessary.
Okay, so we've got the problem and this new philosophy. But how on earth would an entire society actually make this change? That's where the source gets really practical. It lays out a detailed, multi-generational strategy to get from here to there.
So here it is, the 50-year roadmap. It's broken into 4 distinct phases. It starts with cleaning the data, then moves into mixing the world, then it anticipates a health boom, and the whole thing ends with what it calls total tranquility.
Let's look at Phase 1, cleaning the data. It's all about getting rid of the old labels. Step 1, governments and schools just stop asking for caste and gotra. Simple. Step 2, people start what's called a name shift. And Step 3, before marriage, instead of doing traditional gotra matching, you do practical medical DNA screening to check for health risks.
And that name shift is a really huge piece of this first phase. The idea is to stop using surnames that tie you to a tribe or an ancestor, and instead pick a name that reflects who you are, your personal character. And here's a perfect example. Instead of a surname that locks you into a group, your name becomes an adjective, something you aspire to be. Think of names like Sthira, which means steady, or Daksha, meaning skillful. You're defined by your character, not by your birth. And the plan just keeps building from there. Phase 2 is about creating mixed neighborhoods and using blind hiring so there's no bias. Phase 3 is all about education, teaching people that genetic diversity is a biological superpower. And the ultimate goal? By Phase 4, the whole idea of caste becomes this weird, ancient thing you'd only read about in history books. Now, a 50-year plan can feel abstract, right? It's huge. So the source brings it all the way down to you, to the individual. It asks, what can one person do right now to start this whole process? And it calls this the Year Zero Protocol. And this is the key message here. It's all about personal agency. You don't have to wait for the government or for society. The source suggests the change starts with you. Today, you can be the very first version of this human upgrade.
So, what does this personal protocol actually look like? It's 4 simple steps. First, talk to the divine yourself. No messenger, no gotra. Second, live the archetype. Be the goodness you admire in those spiritual stories. Third, start thinking of your name as a quality, a reflection of your character. And finally, prioritize your hardware, your physical health and your environment over abstract ideas like family pride.
And it's so important we land on this final point from the source. This whole plan isn't about destroying faith. It's about transforming it from something based on external rules and rituals into something deeply personal, internal, and made real through your own actions. So there you have it, the Human Upgrade Plan. A really bold 50-year vision for completely rewriting our social operating system. Now, whether you agree with it or not, it definitely forces us to ask some huge questions. And it leaves us with this one to chew on. If you could upgrade society's code, what would be your first line?